We do begin this day here on Comunidad del Valle with the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, near and dear to the hearts of a lot of us who needed that extra money to go to college. Frank Alvarez runs the organization. It's nationwide, but it's run out of San Francisco. Welcome to the show, Mr. Alvarez.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, tell us first of all, globally, how are we doing? How are we competing? One, as a nation, and maybe two, as Latinos. How are we competing globally when it comes to academics?
That's a great question, and it really comes down to importance here in Silicon Valley. So today, the U.S. is 12th internationally. When you look at the population in general, we have got about 40% of all of the population with at least a two-year college degree. We're 12th in the world by virtue of that. To get to number one, to be competitive and to assure our way of life and the republic, we have to get to 60. But if you look at that 40% and disaggregate the numbers, the lowest performing at 19% are Latinos. And so the U.S. cannot get to number one. They cannot get to 60 until Latinos move forward and advance from the high school finish line, which we generally accept in our community, to a college degree.
And here's a tough question. Is that how far we've sunk, and how high were we at one point? I don't know if you have the figures for that.
Actually, we're moving up, which is nice. And what we're finding is that the population that's coming up, the children today are coming in with higher expectations of getting in. It's part of our strategy as an organization. We've launched a campaign called Generation First Degree. Its design is to put a degree, at least one degree, in every Latino household in the country, under the theory of change that once you have a degree in a household, everyone else starts to believe they can go too, and it just changes the mindset. So, I mean, I suspect this, that your children have no choice because you're a college graduate, am I right?
Right.
And I found that 100%
It's not a democracy, no. They don't have a choice.
And it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be. So what we're looking to do is to have more of that go on. So we can move from 19% to the 60%, and we do it casa por casa. We're going to do it one household at a time, and we're going to get the abuelos, the papas, las mamás, we're going to get them all together, and we're going to start moving our community forward because God gave us all the same talents. We just don't know really how to get there right now because most of our parents have not had an opportunity of going to college themselves. And so while they say, I want my child to go to college, they really don't know how to help. So hey, so we put together a free resource. If they'll come to our website, we have a DVD. It's in English and Spanish, and it's just chock full of information for the parents. It's got some great stuff. So we want to make it available to everybody, all of your viewers, so they can actually do something, get involved, order more for their community groups. We want to provide this across the valley because this valley will not succeed in the future until the Latino population really steps up to our full potential.
No, you're right. The Silicon Valley is leading the way when it comes to innovation and technology, and if you want to keep that title, we have to take those steps to make sure that happens. There's a web address for more information. It's hsf.net for Hispanic Scholarship Fund. We're going to keep a few copies of this DVD here in our studios. If you like a copy, also log on to the website, see how you can get a hold of them. We'll be back with Mr. Alvarez, talk more about how we can progress as an entire educational community when we continue. Stay with us. We're back here on Comunidad del Valle with Mr. Frank Alvarez of the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. And you talk about one degree in every household. In my home, we called it, you and I talked about this off camera, se desgrana la mazorca. You get a corn husk and you start peeling the corn off of it. And once one comes off, it becomes easy for the rest of them to come off. So if you get one person in a household with a college degree, I mean, that is enough for the young chavalita who's in 6th, 7th grade to say, hey, Dio did it, or Big Brother did it, why, Big Sister did it, why can't I?
That's exactly the case. What we found is this. We found that when the children are exposed to college from the start, from when they assume that that's where they're going to go. So it's not a question. And so what we want to do is to really help the parent in the household to understand that they can, even if they haven't gone to college, they can get some information. And we're here to help them, not just with scholarships, but with information. And then we've got 55,000 people that we've given scholarships to. These are college graduates that we want to connect to the household so that the parent has got a mentor themselves. And so we can connect them. Then the parent goes, ¿Qué es lo que hago con mi hijo, mi hija? We can give them advice. And so the thing is, It's part of educando su familia. We talk about the difference between educar and educate. In fact, a real study that we did, it said, we went to the Hispanic parent and asked them, are you involved in the education of your child? And they said, yes. We went to the high school and the counselor said, are the parents involved? The Latino parents involved in the education of their child? Said no. What we found when we went back to, we asked the parent, how are you involved? Well, I make sure my child is clean and well fed and respectful and pues es educando su hijo. But it's not educating.
That's part of the solution. It's not the entire solution.
So we have to look at the whole thing about culturally saying that we have to assume academic responsibility. Most of our parents come from other countries, largely Mexico, where the education is provided by the state, and so you don't have to advocate. Here, you have to advocate, and we want our parents to advocate.
That's right. Well, you know, and also what we're finding is the community colleges are dropping classes, raising fees. The CSU is dropping classes, raising fees. The UC is dropping classes, raising fees. What signal are we sending the students out there when these entities are doing just that?
Yeah, and it's a real big problem. It's a problem from a couple of levels. One, our community doesn't subscribe to the federal grants, the free money that's available, or to the state free money like the Cal grants. We don't subscribe to it in the same fashion. So there's money left on the table because we're not taking it. But we're also, as a community, risk averse to debt. You know, we want to stay away from debt if we can stay it. So what we have to understand is you have to get involved. You're going to come out of school with debt, but it's going to pay back. And so you have to be informed about it. We're here to inform you. We want all the kids to go from high school into a four-year school is ideally what we want if we can get them there, because the graduation rate is better. When you go into community college, it is a little less sure that you're going to graduate. But if you have to go, I went to community college, I don't know if you did as well, we're offering programs to help the kids get through the community college so that we're giving advice as we go along the way. And really what we need to do is make sure that we let the kids know high school isn't enough. You got to go to college.
And there's the good thing that I'm seeing is that they're starting the kids out early. I mean, my daughter's going to start second grade, and the mentality is already there at her school. It doesn't start in 6th or 7th grade anymore where you start talking about college and whatnot. It's starting now, and I guess that's a good sign.
It's a sweet sign, you know. I think we also know this. We know that our parents who have not had the opportunity to go in, they out-aspire every other parent. They believe in the American dream, give us an education, and we're going to do better. And so what we do is the parents that have children that don't go to school where we do that, we want the kids to have the same opportunity. So let's get the word out. Let's spread the word that says, sí se puede.
You sound very excited. What is it? I mean, you're obviously seeing something. You were seeing the numbers, or you're seeing something that says things are going to change, or things are changing gradually.
But it's because I believe in my community, because I believe that we can do this. I was the first in my family to go to college. My dad and mom didn't get out of high school, but you know the whole story. And so I went, and all 4 of my kids are college educated now, and I'm saving already for my grandkids. And so the story that I'm talking about, I believe in because I've walked it. And I bet it's your story too. And I bet it's all the story out there too.
But you didn't use that as an excuse. My parents didn't go, you know, after high school or to high school, and too many people use that as an excuse. It's just an excuse. We need to, I guess, leave that aside, leave that behind, and say, you know, hay que retarnos. We got to get ahead.
Eso es la cosa. We have one problem too. I want to just really point this out. The progress that we're making that excites me is that our girls are going on, and we are now 60% of all Latinos in college are women. But what we're finding is the men, the boys, are not pursuing the same way. So what we want to do is really get all of our kids into college, but especially the boys, because we have a tendency to not be as focused. So if we can do something like that, and then see, we're role models for them, and we ought to get more of our boys in.
There's a gender disparity. Again, if you want a copy of this CD right here, log on to that website, hsf.net, and find out why and how your kids are and should go to college. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Frank Alvarez with the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias. ¿Sí?
That's a usted. And up next, we're on Comunidad del Valle, the new film, Un Buen Hijo. Stay with us.